Hello on a Wednesday, on a grotty Wednesday actually. So, and what would a Wednesday be without cooking with Mrs. P? So some of the parents got in touch with me and they said, Mrs. P, you're doing lots of sweet things. How about something that's savoury? So I was sitting there and I was thinking about it and I thought, right, I'm going to make some of my favourite things that I know my girls love, and especially on a grotty day like today, and they love something that's a little bit tasty to have for their lunch or for something, for a snack, because they always seem to be snacking, which I'm sure you guys are too. So the first thing that we're going to do is a good old Kiwi favourite. And that good old Kiwi favourite is called Kiwi dip, and my girls love it. So what you start with is a tin of reduced cream. So this is a tin of reduced cream. Really simple. We're just going to open it up like so. And we're going to pour it into here. Just like that. We're going to rinse this out and then put it into the recycling, because we've got it recycling on the 3. Then I'm going to get some onion soup. I'm going to get some onion soup here, and I'm going to whack that in. Really simple, just a thing of onion soup, and it goes just like that. And then this is the piece de resistance. Now if you don't have a lemon, you can also use vinegar if you want to use vinegar, because you just need to have something that's a little bit sour that's in it. So I'm going to use my good old press. I'm going to press that one in. So that's half, and these lemons actually come from my tree, which has made it even more exciting. And then another one of those in there. And then it's just as simple as giving it a good mix. So I'm going to get my spatula, remember the spatula, giving it a good mix so that it's all combined. And I'm just going to put it up there so it's all combined up. You can see it's all combined up. And then that can go into the fridge. We're going to cover it, and we're going to pop it in the fridge until we need it. So I'm just going to get some glad wrap here, and I'm just going to cover it up like this. And that is our first special thing that's been made. How simple was that? So good old Kiwi dip. Some of your parents will know Kiwi dip. So I'm going to pop that in my fridge, and then I'm going to get on with our next little thing. Now the next little thing is going to be using this. This is called cheats pastry. My mum used to call it cheats pastry. And I'll tell you why she called it cheats pastry. Because you can actually get it from your supermarket already rolled out and ready to go. Which I like something that's going to make things quick and easy. So that's perfect for Mrs. P. So you need to take them out of the freezer. Probably about 5 minutes before you need to use it. And then what you're going to do with a knife, and the cool thing about this is that you can just use a blunt knife. And what we're going to do is we're going to make lots and lots of, just move these along so Bells can actually get a shot of what Mrs. P's doing. And I'm just going to do lots of parallel lines. How's that? Because that's what we've been looking at in class. And you can see what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my parallel line, and I'm going to get my rectangles, and I'm going to pop them out like this. Now this is where the fun starts, because you are going to make something called a cheese straw or a cheese stick. So we're going to take our wonderful bit of cheese pastry, and then we're going to make a cut, not from the very top, but just a little way down. So not from the very top, but just from a little way down. And we're actually just going to go whoop, 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 whoop. So you can see that we've split it into 2. And then all we're going to do is we're going to cross them over each other. And we're going to literally make them into a twist. Like this, just by twisting the pastry, twisting it round, and then we're going to pop it on our tray. So I've got a baking tray here. Now the other thing you could do is you could make it a little bit different. You could plait it. So again, don't go all the way to the top. And if we're going to plait it, we need to separate it into, make 2 more parallel lines. Can you see these parallel lines? And then we take the top bit over the bottom bit. top bit over the middle bit, 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 and we continue going top bit over the middle bit, 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 and you get lots of these lovely looking straws. So I'm just going to whiz through a couple of these now so that you can see what we can do. So this is the fun bit, that you can actually work out how you want your straws to look. I know my girls like to have them twisted, and they like them plaited, and they like them all sorts of different ways. So it's really up to you to show your creativity as to how you are going to get these done. So at the moment I've got my oven onto 180 degrees, and so that they're ready to bake, and then and it's all heated up, all ready for me. And here we go again. It's a really simple thing to do if you are wanting to have a movie night maybe with mum and dad, or you just feel like doing something a little bit different in the kitchen. These are your go-to, and they are just delicious. So it wasn't very good. I hope yours look a lot better than Mrs. P's looking. And then we're up to our last one, and I'm going to whiz down with that one again, so that we remember taking the side one over the middle one, side one over the middle one, side one, just working from left to right or right to left, going over and over, just basically taking your side piece over your middle piece, using the different sides as you go. Right, so there they are. Now what we're going to do is we're going to rub them down with some olive oil. Now I don't have a pastry brush. You guys might have a pastry brush. I did have a pastry brush, but I'm not sure what happened to it. So I've got my olive oil, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my olive oil onto a paper towel. Okay, so I'm just going to put my olive oil onto my paper towel, and then I'm going to bring these over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dab these with the olive oil. Now this just helps them to puff up a bit more in the oven when we bake them. So I'm just going to put some olive oil on these and just dab these up to have some olive oil on them. Now this is where you can be a little bit creative and add whatever you like on top. Now sometimes I like to add herbs and spices. So another really yummy thing to put on is something called smoked paprika. Okay, so this is quite, well, as it says, it's a smoky herb, but it actually tastes really delicious. And all I'm using here is just the end of my fork, and I put a little bit too much on there. That was a bit of a disaster, but I'm using the edge of my fork just to put something on there, just to add sort of a little bit of flavour, and I can just rub that in and add a bit of flavour. And then of course the next thing that you could add is some grated cheese. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grate some cheese, which I'm sure all of you know how to do already. So I've got my tasty cheese here. I'm going to open that up. Cheese is something that you've got to keep in a sealed container in your fridge, otherwise it dries out. So we want to keep this, and then I'm going to get my grater, but I'm not going to grate it on the thick side. I'm actually going to grate it on the thinner side. And that means that I get a finer grate, and I won't get the cheese going all over the place and melting where I don't want it to melt. You don't need a heck of a lot. So there we go, we've got our grate. See how it's a different grate? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle these onto here like this, just like this. We want to sprinkle it onto our cheese straws. Might need a little bit more. Give it another good grate. Whoops, I'm losing my glasses. That's always a good time. That'll give you a bit of a giggle. That'll give you all a bit of a giggle. And I'll just put those there. And then we're just going to put all these on here, like so. Now, what I'm going to do with those is I'm going to pop them in the oven until they're golden brown. So probably about 10 to 15 minutes. And while they're doing that, I'm going to do something else. So hold the line. Pop these into my oven on bake at 180 degrees. Now I've still got some pastry left over. And so this is where we can make some parcels, some special parcels. So what I've got, sometimes you'll find that in your fridge you've got vegetables and things that you haven't used or old cheese. So I've got some baby spinach here, which I'm going to pop into my bowl. And this again is a really, really simple thing that you can do. Just a handful of baby spinach that I'm going to pop into here, like this. Handful of baby spinach. Then I've got some feta cheese that we had in my fridge, so I'm just going to pop some feta cheese into, it's great feta cheese because it all sprinkles up and it's fabulous. So I've got some feta cheese, I'm just going to wipe my hands. And then the other thing that we've got is some cream cheese. Now you might have sour cream, or you might have yogurt. You can put anything that you like in there, which is just going to give it a little bit of substance. So I'm just going to put a couple of teaspoons of there in there. And then I'm going to put a glug of olive oil in there, just a good little glug of olive oil. And then of course we want to season it with some salt and pepper. So it's really important that we season everything with salt and pepper, otherwise it tastes a bit bland. And I know some people actually like to put a bit of chilli in there as well, so I'm just going to put a pinch of salt in there and a little bit of a grind of black pepper. And then with my fork, I am just going to, you can see, I'm just going to mash all this up together like this. And I'm just going to make sure that I've combined all my bits and pieces together using my fork. Now this can be a little bit messy, and sometimes you might actually want to put your hands in there and have a go. Remember, your hands are okay, as long as they're clean. You don't want filthy little hands in there. As long as they're nice and clean. Now you can see that this is all starting to come together a bit, and we're putting this all together like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little parcel using the last of my pastry. So here we are. So I'm going to use the last of my pastry. I'm just going to use my fingers here because they're nice and clean. You can see Cheats pastry comes with this. Now what I'm actually going to do, I've just decided, because this is where cooking is fun, why make when you can create? Sounds like the ad, doesn't it? So I'm going to pop this into here like this, and I've decided, now that I've looking at it, that I'm actually going to roll this pastry up. And that's the cool thing about working in a kitchen, is that you can decide that you can change things up if you want to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm then going to roll this all up. You can see rolling it up into a nice little roll like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my knife and I'm going to cut them into like little rolls like this, like so. And then you can see you've got these wonderful little things here. So the important thing before you put something like this into the oven is you want to make sure that you prick it, because this is going to let the air and the moisture escape from your from what you've made. And then what we're going to do is we're going to once again get our cloth, our paper towel that we already used, put a little bit more oil on it. You can rub this with butter if you'd like. Put a little bit more oil onto that, just like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop those into a little baking dish. If this is baking fine, please. Like this. And when my cheese straws come out, Then I'm going to pop these into the oven to cook. So you can see we've got all those little morsels that are all ready to go. So we'll put those in, and we'll just have a check of what's happening there. Right, so for my last thing that I'm going to make, now this is a hummus. Now, I don't know about you, but my girls love hummus, and it's a really easy, again, and delicious thing that you can make. So all you need is a tin of chickpeas, and we drain those chickpeas. So we just pop them in the sink, and we just drain them all out like this. Sorry, I've got lots. I'm not being a very tidy cook, am I? So we've got lots of chickpeas. We're just going to give those a really good rinse, like that. Really, really simple. Now I use my Nutribullet for this, but you can use a kitchen whiz if you've got one. So I just pop all these into my Nutribullet. Here we go. Hoping to get them all in, not in the sink. Right, that's the first thing that you need. Right, the next thing that you need for a hummus is lemon juice. So I like mine quite lemony, so we're going to use 2 of Mrs. P's lemons. But first off, what we're going to do is we're going to get the zest off one of the lemons. So that is the yellow bit of your lemon, not the white bit, the yellow bit. So we're just going to get the zest off your lemon. And you don't want the white bit because the white bit is actually quite bitter. And you don't want the white bit. Oh, I do like the smell of the lemon. It's quite delicious. It's so fresh and yummy. And especially, I feel quite proud that I've been able to get lemons off my tree this year. So, whoops, you'll see that when I put my little knife in here, there is the zest that's coming out. So you can see the zest there that has just come out. I'm just going to pop that up so you can see better. So there's the zest of the lemon. Pop that in. Halve our lemons like so. Halve our lemons like so. Goodness gracious, Mrs. P, what a mess you've made. And then we're going to get our lemon press, and we're going to pop that in again. Pop that in. One half, another half. So 2 halves, as we know, make a whole. 2 halves make a whole. That's 1 1/2. And then finally, we've got, it's got to practice for Mrs. P, so we're going to do that. Then what we're going to add is a 1/4 cup of olive oil. So we're going to measure out a 1/4 cup of olive oil, and we're going to pop that into our hummus, like that. And then I'm going to teach you a trick. This is fresh garlic. You may have this garlic, which is alright, that's fine too, but I want to show you how to actually mince garlic. First you need to press it down, and then that will take the paper off the garlic. So we're just going to take the paper off the garlic here, and then it literally just comes right off if you give it a good squash with your knife. Now, in order to crush garlic, what you can do is you can use salt. Now, salt works with friction, so again, it's working with what we're doing in science at the moment, is looking at how we can rub things together and it makes friction. So what this does is the coarseness of the salt actually helps you to actually get in there and actually get your garlic crushed if you don't have a garlic crusher. Now, I don't use a garlic crusher because I like to have, it means I can season my garlic and make sure that it adds enough seasoning to my dishes. So you can see that that clove of garlic now has become a crushed clove of garlic. Beautifully crushed and easy to use. So we're just going to sweep that up and we're going to pop that in there like that. Just like that. Now, the trick to a really, really good hummus is iced water. Okay, so not cold water from the tap, but iced water. And this is what you can just put some ice cubes in it before you start. And we're going to add in about a cup of ice water. I'm going to actually take those ice cubes out, and I'm going to pop those in there like that. So you've got this little mixture that's happening there. Right, so now I'm going to pop the lid on of my whizzer, and then it gets a bit loud now. So here we go. He's popping that in there, turning it on. You've put that one in there, right? So we're going to let that sit for a bit, and then in the fridge. So we're going to let that sit in the fridge for a bit while we wait for our other things to come. Right, so here we go. Have a look at what's happened here. Have a look at these. So they're your cheese straws, which are there, and I'm going to give them a little bit more time. And while they're cooking, I'm going to do a bit of a clean up, and then I'll be back with you in a jiffy. That was a fun Zoom, wasn't it? Seeing our lovely Sophia. So while she was, while we were online with her, my wonderful bits and pieces were cooking in the oven. So let's get them out and let's see what we've got. Oh, look at that. Ouch. Oh, note yourself. Use something to help you get things out of the oven. And then we have our wonderful little pastry yummies that we've got here. And it's just in time for lunch for my girls. So what we're going to do, see, we've got these lovely little pastry puffs that we're going to just put on the table, on the plate like this. And you can see I've put some carrots and I've put some cucumber on there, so we're going to pile that up like that, and I'm not going to touch that with my bare hands because that wouldn't be too cool. And then we've got our lovely little cheese twists, so I'm just going to pop those on the side like this, and they'll all be all ready for everybody to have. Now in my bowls I'm going to add my hummus, and I'm going to add my kiwi dip. So here they are, they're coming out of there, and you'll see that we've got this lovely, lovely, thick, yummy hummus. So I'm just going to take my little bowl here and using my spatula, you can see it's nice and thick, and we're just going to put that in there. Pop it in, you can smell the garlic in there, which is quite yum. And then we're going to get a spoon, and we're going to pop in here our kiwi dip, so you can see that it's nice and thick. Now often, sometimes I keep the reduced cream in the fridge, and that keeps it nice. You can see it's nice and thick, and we'll put that in there like that, just like that. And then what I like to do is just top off my hummus with a little bit of olive oil just on the top like that, just a little bit of olive oil on the top. And then a sprinkling of sea salt, which just makes it even more delicious. So my little Zoomers, that's going to be lunch for my girls, and I hope you guys enjoy making something. Remember, with these you can actually stuff them with whatever you like. So I hope you enjoy, and I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with in the kitchen.